I have a picture here of the Creator Expert logo, which is 6 Erling bricks or 6 brick modified 1x1 with the headlight. So we're going to build that here in Studio. Sometimes I'll just go side by side with these. Makes it a little bit easier if I wanted to do that. And then you can kind of look at your image here. It does make it a little bit harder to use Studio if your Studio window is a little bit smaller, but not impossible, right? So I've got a blank canvas here. The scroll on my mouse, the scroll wheel will zoom in and out. That definitely helps as you're building. And then you've got the master list here. I've never not used the master list. There are probably other lists and other parts, and you can probably create your own if you really wanted to, but it does stay pretty up to date. They do update it frequently, and it has all the parts you could possibly want in there. The search is pretty good, but you have to know the name of the thing you're searching for. Brick 1x1, right? So that gives me all the parts that have brick 1x1 in the name, right? Unfortunately, that doesn't give me the brick I'm looking for, because technically the Erling brick is brick, comma, modified, comma, brick, comma, modified 1x1 with headlight. So it makes it a little bit harder to find. But if you know what you're looking for, you can find it pretty easily through the search. And that's always better than starting with the master list here and just scrolling infinitely. Even just brick modified still returns 119 parts. And there's a difference. The 1x1 with stud on one side is different from 1x1 with headlight, right? The headlight is the old school one. And unfortunately, you can't use the one studded snoot brick here to build the Creator Expert logo, because it won't fit. That little headlight there, when we're talking about Lego Draw unit, that little shelf, I think, is either 2 or 4 LDU units set back. I think it's 2, and that's just enough to fit. To get started, I'm zoomed in as far as I really want to be at the moment. And all I do is I just click on the part, it highlights it, it takes it wherever I want to go. I'm not even holding the mouse button. And when I click the left mouse button again, it releases that part. And it will continue to release that part until I hit either escape, or if I have it selected and I right click, it will deselect it. So we'll grab one, and drop it, and right click. All right, so let's do, I don't know.
Purple.
Let's try it. So the Creator Expert logo, commonly referred to as the heart of the master builder, requires 6 of these Erling bricks. So I'm just going to highlight it, and I'm going to Control C to copy it, and Control V. And when I hit Control V, it gives it to me as though I had selected it. So I'm just going to place it down, and then Control V. As you can see, my steps are building over here. I'm not separating them individually because I don't really need to. Also, too, if you go beyond the footprint of the palette, it will stretch the palette that way. So if I stick this one out here and grab this one here and drag it out that way, it'll expand the palette like so. You can go underneath the palette, which becomes kind of a pain because it's hard to place them. So I don't recommend doing that, but as you can see, this one's kind of like up in the air, and that one over there is closer to the ground, and it can get a little wonky, right? But that's okay. Whenever you have parts on top of parts in ways that don't go together, it's called a collision. So if you have a collision, and you can turn it off by clicking that red triangle, it'll turn it off. But if you have a collision, or you have parts put together that just don't actually fit together in real life, it'll look like this. They'll go clear. But it's easy enough to solve. You just grab one and move it off so that it's not on top, and then click and let it go. Looks pretty similar to the first one here. And this first one on the left is the one I'm going to start with, right? So, but then I need to grab another one. So I'm going to zoom out so I can grab this one here and bring it over, drop it down. So if you're just on the palette and you want to select this one, right? I'm just going to left click on it to select it. And then you get this little like gear symbol that pops up. And when you hover over it, you get 2 different symbols. The first symbol, when you hover over that, is the rotate symbol. So if I click on the rotate one, it's going to give me X, Y, and Z axis. And if I click off, it'll go away. The other symbol is a X, Y, and Z position the palette here. So if I use the arrow keys, I can drop it below the palette, or I can raise it up above the palette. With the arrow keys, I can move it left and right. Click that first rotational one here. So I can just click that arrow and hold it, and then I can rotate that to 270. And then I can click the other arrow and rotate that down to 270. The fun thing about this is it does have this auto snap feature. You can turn it off, which is the snap button up here. I'm going to grab my brick, and then I'm just going to bring it over until it makes contact with my other brick. There we go. Medium act. Cool. And you can see how it's actually making contact with all the correct surfaces. It's rotated the way I want it to be. Now, one thing I will point out is that this one that I started with is one brick higher than the ones below it, right? So in order for me to get this off the deck, see how they're kind of like all on the same plane? In order to get that where I need it to be before I keep going, I'm going to highlight them all. I'm going to click it. And then when I get my XYZ arrows here, I'm going to go ahead and raise it up. So now you'll see that if I click away and I rotate the plane down, that is at least one brick higher than where it started. The next one, I'm going to do the same thing, right? I'm going to grab one of these. I'm going to bring it over and drop it, zoom in so I can see what I'm doing. 90 degrees that way. And then we're going to have to rotate it down there, like so. Green. Grab that. It's going to keep the orientation. And then as I move it over, see if I don't quite come to where I want to be, and it looks like I'm kind of lined up, but not quite. If I let it go here, you'll see that it's not even close, right? So the angle that you're rotated to will help get you lined up right. So let's go 180 like that. That one was easy. Yeller. All right, we'll move that one over and see how it just kind of seats itself. Now, anybody that's ever built one of these will tell you that when you put the top half and the bottom half together, it's kind of a pain because you kind of got to like squeeze them in there a little bit. It's a little bit strenuous. But in Studio, that's not an issue because you can just keep floating them all day long. Same thing, highlight your part, rotate it this way first. And then we'll rotate it that way next. There we go. See how it kind of fuzzed out? Now, if I were to drop that there, or try to drop it there, it won't really let me do it because it's too close to the palette to go underneath, and it's occupying a space that it really wouldn't in real life. We'll drop that one there. We're pretty close. We got one more to go. Let's rotate there. And let's rotate there. If you use the arrow keys, like if you highlight it and use the arrow keys, like I'm just using the left arrow now, it's doing it in bigger increments.
Yeah.
So like that's a 45. Cool. Yeah. There. That's it. That is our rainbow pride part of the master builder.
It's so pretty.
Cool. So that's how you use Studio. There's lots of other things that you can do. You can create steps. So if you wanted to add a step, right? So I could say that this was my first brick, and then this one, and I can shift click all of these in the step module here, and drag them down under step 2. And orange, and then red. Cool. So when you click on step view and you click step 1, it'll just show you the 1. Then you can do step 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Cool. And if we wanted to create instructions, current building model will be switched to the instruction maker mode. Do you want to proceed? Yes. You must save changes. Okay. And that's what it looks like in instruction maker mode when you call out the steps. Page design, you can design the page so you can control what it looks like, and you can grab the thing and move it over. So you can say, hey, you know what, just do step 1 right in the center. And then page 2, like if I wanted to be, I think I can zoom it in if I wanted to. You can lock the pages and change the layout and put all kinds of stuff in there. So you can make your own building instructions. See how it says camera setup? You can rotate the camera. So if you wanted to change the angle every time you put a part on, you could do that, and then you can export it. You know, once you get your building instructions, you can also do a parts list, and it's got this ability to actually link to your BrickLink, which is kind of cool because you can upload your builds to Studio in BrickLink and put them on sale if you really wanted to. There's a lot more features and functionality that you can do here. It's a really cool program. It's a lot of fun to play with. The sky's the limit. You know, every part you could imagine in every color, and you can get pretty creative with it. Like, for example, to do these, that's the robot arms with the little tooth there, or the claw, and that's a Technic pneumatic pin, tri-directional pin connector with some textured pins. And then, you know, I've got some other weird connections in here, ball joints and weird connections, and it knows what you're trying to do, and you can rotate things into place. Not much to it. You can't screw it up. It's a lot of fun. Don't be afraid to click buttons. Awesome. Cool. Well, that was fun. Thanks, everybody.